In this lecture, let's create a set of variables. As mentioned before, we'll explore the most commonly used data types for game development. They're integers, floats, strings, and booleans. To get started, open the robot.cs file from our project. Inside the robot class, let's create our first variable. To get started, we'll start with an integer. Integers are a data type for storing whole numbers. For example, we may want to store the age of our robot. In the class, type the following: int age =5, semicolon. Let's dissect this line of code piece by piece. Firstly, we're setting the data type. This step is always required. C# must know the type of value we're storing in a variable. For integers, the data type is called int. As you can see, this keyword is reserved by the language. Next, we must provide a name for a variable. The rules for naming variables are the same as namespaces and classes. There's one difference. It's considered standard practice to use camel casing instead of Pascal casing. Once again, this standard is set by Microsoft, which we'll be adopting. After setting the name, we're adding the equals character. The technical term for this character is called the assignment operator. Sounds complicated, but it's super simple. It allows us to set the value of the variable. In this case, the variable's value is 5. The last piece is a semicolon. In the English language, sentences must be ended with a period. A period indicates the end of a sentence. New sentences can be written after the period. For programming languages, we are giving instructions to a machine. The machine is unaware of when an instruction ends. Without ending the previous instruction, a new instruction cannot run. The semicolon character denotes the end of an instruction. This brings us to the question, why don't we add semicolons to the namespace or class? Blocks of code do not need semicolons. C# is smart enough to understand that the closing curly bracket is the end of the instruction. For everything else, we must add semicolons. Awesome! We've created our first variable. Let's create 3 more. The second variable will be a float. As a reminder, floats are a data type for storing numbers with a decimal value. For this example, let's store the price for building the robot. Type the following: float price equals 99.99f semicolon. Similar to before, we're setting the data type at the beginning of the line. Next, we're adding the name. Lastly, we're setting the value. There's one difference between floats and integers. The letter F must be added at the end of the number. It's a weird behavior of C#. Our decimal value will not be recognized without this character. 2 more variables to go. Storing text must be stored in a string. Type the following: string name equals mcbot, semicolon. The value for the variable is wrapped with double quotes. Do not use single quotes. Otherwise, you may receive an error. In C#, text is considered to be a string. Why do we call it a string? The logic behind the name is strange. Text is made up of characters that are strung together, hence string. Within the double quotes, we may write anything we'd like. This includes reserved keywords. Strings can freely use reserved keywords without consequence. Therefore, we can type the word class inside a string. The C# programming language will not attempt to create a class. It understands that this word is part of the string. There's one more variable that we'll look at. Add the following code: bool is turned on equals false, semicolon. Booleans are a data type for storing one of 2 values, true or false. They're handy for storing data that can be on or off. Booleans are popular because they require less memory than other data types. Therefore, using Booleans over different data types can be more performant. Congrats! We've created a set of variables. At the moment, they don't do anything besides store values. In the next set of lectures, let's try using them.